Ladies and gentlemen, there is a payroll squeeze at the Collingwood Football Club, and it might push out one of our sweethearts, Brody Mihocek. It's time to talk all things black and white. Brody Mihocek. He's been offered a 1-year contract. That is what is on the table. Other players are willing to accept that, and that is the standard around the club at the moment. The two players who seemingly have a little bit of trouble accepting what's being tabled for them at the moment is Brody Mihocek and Darcy Cameron, but it's a bit of a different picture for Darcy Cameron, so we'll save that one for another time. But I want to specifically dive into the different ways that this can go with Brody, whether he stays, whether he goes to another club. Why are we delaying this process? What are the moving parts that need to fall into place before Brody Mihocek's contract can be finalized? So I've got a little hefty list of notes here. And let's just start by acknowledging the forward that Brody Mihocek has been, the pseudo key tall forward. I know he's 6'4", but he's never really played as that polarizing, presenting key forward. He's a boots on ground, gets his knees dirty and puts a lot of pressure on our forward half, which is why Collingwood today in 2025 are one of the best forward half pressure teams. Yes, we have the Bobbies, the Lockie Schultz, the Beau McCrearys, and the Jamie Elliott's, but really what really ties that all in and meshes our forward half game into one is the ability for our key forwards like Membry, McStay, and Mihocek to apply the pressure that they've put on their defenders. So there's that. But he's also been a walk-in, I'll kick 1.5, 2 goals a season since he's been at the Collingwood Football Club. So he's proven his worth to the AFL. Now, whether that worth is... does he deserve it? We'll get there. But the first stepping stone in this conversation is sort of having one eye on in the future. And that's talking about Ben King, because we know Ben King will be out of contract at the end of next season. So are we being cautious with how much we are willing to offer Brody Mihocek in the case that we do want to acquire someone like Ben King, is that he wants to come home, and there's been links there drawn together to Collingwood and Ben King many times before. So that is a reality. So if we offer Mihocek, who wants more than 1 year on the table, if we give him 2 years, that's an extra year on the payroll where potentially that might cross paths and collide with the opportunity to acquire Ben King. We might not have X amount of money because we offer Mihocek an extra year on top of what we have already offered him. And that might be the difference between getting a player like Ben King. And there's a lot of other variables with other contracts, player contracts, but this could be the final piece in the domino where it hinders our ability to acquire someone of Ben King's caliber. So there's that in that I keep in mind. If Mihocek was to go elsewhere, from a Collingwood view, I ask myself, what happens to our structure? Because we know he's been a mainstay in that forward line. I think, okay, so Reef has gone to the back line. The Darcy Moore going forward experiment expired years ago. Do we revert back to it for the next year? Because we do keep in mind Ben King could instantaneously solve that absence in 2027, right? But next year, do we revert to a 2022 type of forward line? Similar to what we saw against Brisbane, where they had Henry Smith and they also had Logan Morris, and then the rest were small forwards built around them. But small forwards that likes to take a mark, Archie, Cam Rayner. We have that. Jamie Elliott, Lockie Schultz to a certain extent doesn't mind an overhead mark. Bobby Hill doesn't mind sitting on shoulders. So that could be a little stopgap for a year? Or does Charlie West have a year two? Does he rise to the occasion like a Logan Morris has in his second year? Cal Shadir has had moments in his formative seasons in the AFL. So that would be very convenient, is very possible. Unfortunately, he's out with a foot injury at the moment, but we'll see. Who knows? Then further down the line is Noah House. He's kicked 5 and 4 goals, respectively, in 2 VFL games. One against the first bag being against Gold Coast, and the second being against Williamstown on the weekend. Obviously, I'm less hopeful for Noah House than I am Charlie West, for good reason. The other part to whether we know if Brody Mihocek will be in a black and white next year is, are players like Tom Mitchell still going to be on the payroll? And that still needs to play out this year, doesn't it? I think he plays against Hawthorn in lieu of Ned Long. Are we also prioritising Darcy Cameron's contract? Because we are also cognizant that if Brody Mihocek leaves and we are able to retain DC can play forward. Yes, he's served at this anchor in our back half, intercept marking and whatnot. But does that change the role of DC if Brody Mihocek goes elsewhere and needs to play more forward? Because he's very, very, very capable playing forward. He just hasn't spent a lot of time there in the last couple of seasons. And then the final piece to the puzzle is Jack Silvani as well. He's being shopped around for $650 a year. Meaning Collingwood are offering $650 for a 4-year contract. That's another piece. It's incredibly complicated, which is why I wanted to have this conversation. It's not very simple, is it? And one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys is, and I'll try to answer it myself, is Brody Mihocek getting the Tim Membry treatment that St Kilda gave to Tim Membry? I think two things. I think Tim Membry at St Kilda is a different conversation, because I feel like St Kilda are much younger. So they should have kept him for the experience and the wisdom that he could provide to his team for another couple years, which is what he wanted. The difference at the Collingwood Football Club is Mihocek, yes, similar age to Membry, maybe a bit older actually. But we already have the wisdom and experience in the team that if we were to lose someone like Mihocek, it wouldn't be a massive dent in our ability to tutor these younger players. So I see that. The other thing is that the standard of the club at the moment for the older players is to accept lesser contracts with shorter durations. And then that leads us into the next deep question is, does he deserve 2 years as opposed to 1? What does that mean? Does he deserve it for what he's done for the club? Unfortunately, that does not stand the test of the business world. It's just not how it works. Just because you've done something for a club, it's always about what you can do for the club moving forward. It's not, oh, you've done this for us, we're going to give you an extra year because of that. It's harsh. But that's life. That's footy. That's sport. That's business. So I'm curious to see if you guys think he deserves it for those reasons. And I think we'll leave it at that. Let's extend this conversation into the comment section. Let me know what you think. And as always, go Pies.